The first time she saw him, he was kneeling on the cold pavement outside the grocery store, holding a cardboard sign that read, "Hungry. Just need a chance." It was raining, the kind of rain that soaks through shoes and into bones. People passed him without looking. Some tightened their coats. Some whispered. A few laughed. Maya tightened her grip on her worn-out purse. Inside it were exactly $12 and a folded electricity bill stamped final notice. She should have walked past him too. She was a single mother of a 7-year-old daughter. She worked double shifts at a diner. Her fridge at home held half a carton of eggs and a bottle of ketchup. She knew what it felt like to choose between rent and groceries. But then the man on the pavement looked up. Their eyes met, and something inside her stopped. He looked familiar, not because of the beard or the dirt smudged across his face. Not because of the oversized coat that clearly wasn't his. It was his eyes, steady, intelligent, almost embarrassed. "Maya?" he asked softly. Her breath caught. Daniel. 20 years disappeared in an instant. He had been the quiet scholarship kid in high school, brilliant, awkward, always reading thick books while others partied. They had shared a chemistry lab table. She had once helped him with a presentation when the class made fun of his stutter. But after graduation, life had scattered everyone like dandelion seeds. And now here he was. On the street. "What happened to you?" she whispered. Daniel gave a faint smile. "Life." It was clear he didn't want to explain. It was also clear he hadn't eaten in days. Maya looked at the grocery bag in her hand. Milk, bread, a pack of instant noodles. That was dinner for her and little Sophie. She hesitated. If she gave him anything, it meant less for her daughter. But if she walked away, she knew she wouldn't sleep tonight. "Come home with me," she said suddenly. Daniel blinked. "I can't ask you to do that." "You didn't," she replied. "I'm offering." The apartment was small, one bedroom, peeling paint, a couch that sagged in the middle. Sophie looked up from her coloring book when they walked in. "Mommy, who's that?" "This is my old school friend," Maya said gently. "He's staying for dinner." Daniel removed his soaked shoes at the door, clearly uncomfortable. He kept apologizing, kept offering to leave. Maya cooked the noodles, stretching them with extra water and half the eggs. Sophie insisted Daniel take the bigger portion. Children understand hunger differently. They don't judge it. That night, after Sophie fell asleep, Daniel finally spoke. "I lost everything," he said quietly. He explained that he had built a tech startup years ago. It had grown fast, too fast. Investors came. Pressure mounted. When he refused to sell control to a group with questionable ethics, they forced him out. Legal battles drained him. His reputation was damaged. His accounts were frozen during investigations. "I trusted the wrong people," he admitted. "And when it fell apart, so did everyone around me. Friends vanished. Business partners disappeared. Even distant relatives stopped answering calls." "And you didn't call me?" Maya asked softly. He looked at her, ashamed. "You were always too kind. I didn't want you to see me like this." Maya laughed quietly. "Daniel, look around. This is not exactly a palace. But kindness doesn't measure square footage." The next morning, Maya left early for her shift. Before leaving, she placed $20 on the table. "For food," she said. "And please, don't disappear." Daniel didn't. Instead, he cleaned the apartment. Fixed the leaky kitchen sink with tools he found under the cabinet. Helped Sophie with her math homework. He even repaired a broken cabinet hinge. Days turned into a week. Maya's neighbors began whispering. "Be careful," one woman warned. "You don't know men like that." Her landlord knocked on her door 3 days later. "I heard you're harboring someone," he said suspiciously. "That's against the lease." Fear gripped her stomach. She was already behind on rent. "He's leaving soon," she said, though she hadn't discussed it with Daniel. That night, she told him the truth. "You've done enough," she said gently. "I don't want you in trouble because of me." Daniel nodded slowly. "I never meant to cause problems." There was something different in his eyes now. Not shame. Not defeat. Resolve. The following morning, Daniel asked to borrow her old laptop, the one that overheated and shut down every hour. "I need to check something," he said. What Maya didn't know was this. Daniel was never truly broke. Yes, his accounts had been frozen. Yes, his reputation had been attacked. But he had planned for betrayal long ago. Hidden investments. Secured trusts. Silent partnerships under different entities. He hadn't touched them. Not because he couldn't, but because he had been searching. For what, he wasn't sure, until he found himself on that rainy pavement, watching strangers step over him. He had wanted to see who would stop. Only one person did. Over the next few days, Daniel made quiet calls. Sent encrypted emails. reconnected with legal teams who had been waiting for the right moment. Then, one afternoon, black SUVs pulled into the apartment parking lot. Maya froze when she saw men in tailored suits step out. Her first thought was eviction. Her second was police. Daniel walked toward her calmly. It's time I told you the truth. Inside the small living room, he explained everything: the hidden assets, the companies still legally under his ownership, the investigation that had recently cleared his name completely. The investors who forced me out, he said. They're under federal investigation now. Maya stared at him, speechless. You're saying, you're not homeless? I was, he said honestly. In every way that matters. I had money hidden, but I had no one. I needed to know if the world still had people who cared without knowing what they could gain. And I was your experiment. Her voice trembled, not with anger, but with hurt. No, he said firmly. You were my reminder. Silence filled the room. I don't want to repay you, he continued. I want to partner with you. He explained his plan: a foundation dedicated to helping single parents secure housing, legal support, and job training. Funded fully. Transparent. Ethical. I've seen what desperation looks like, he said. You live it every day, and still you gave. Tears streamed down Maya's face. I don't need millions, she whispered. I know, Daniel replied. That's why you should help run it. Weeks later, Maya stood in front of a modest building with a new sign. Second Chance Initiative. Inside were counselors, childcare services, financial advisors. Single mothers walked in with fear, and walked out with plans. Daniel remained mostly behind the scenes, refusing media attention. But he ensured the foundation grew nationwide. Maya kept her apartment for a while, even after Daniel offered to buy her a house. She moved only when she was ready. Not because she was rescued, but because she had always been strong. One evening, Sophie asked, Mommy, why did you help Mr. Daniel when we didn't have much? Maya smiled. Because kindness isn't something you give when you have extra, she said. It's something you give when you understand. Daniel, standing in the doorway, heard her. And for the first time in years, he felt rich. Not because of the billions restored to his name, but because on a cold rainy day, when he had nothing but a cardboard sign, someone saw him, not as a burden, not as a risk, not as a stranger, but as a human being. And sometimes, that kind of wealth changes the world more than money ever could.